Welcome back. It's still AM Chatter. On to the next segment of the program. We were talking with an award-winning author based in the UK. She's been into several, should I say several streams of publishing.
She's a high flyer.
High flyer indeed. Yes, but she practiced pharmacology in the university. I wonder how the relationship between pharmacology and being an author came about. She is Ibitola Adebayo. Yes, I got your name right this morning.
Yes,
a very good morning to you, Ibitola. Nice to have you here.
The way you mentioned the Ibitola, it was a Ibitola. You're welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So what is it like? How did you start writing? CNN started from an hotel room.
Okay.
And today is one of the largest news network in America. And of course, when it comes to writing books, you need to ask the question, where did you start from?
Oh, I literally started from nowhere. I didn't plan to be a writer. It wasn't something I planned to do. And it was something I told my dad I wanted to do. I'm sure he would have hit the roof. Mm-hmm. So my dad was mainly pharmacology and pharmacy, medicine. That was the main thing. And I did it, and I gave him what he wanted. And I enjoyed it. But when it came to writing, it was literally just out the blue. Just got married, was feeling bunked down, just had a baby, new wife, new baby. So I didn't know what to do. I felt quite alone, even though I had everybody else around me. We were quite a close family, but I still kind of felt it wasn't something I could talk about. So I was watching a TV program one day, and it was talking about how to release stress. And the one thing that caught my eye was writing your thoughts and feelings down on paper, and that's how I started penning down my thoughts and feelings. There were just little jottings here and there. I started feeling lighter, and I kind of put that to one side. So back in 2013, I was rummaging through the house, and I came across the notepad. And reading through it, I felt what I wrote down was something I could share with other girls like myself. I was planning on doing my white wedding that same year, so I felt it was something I could share at my wedding. Maybe as a little pamphlet or something. So I decided to turn it into like a manuscript. Yeah. So I gave myself a 6 months timeline, and that's how I started working on it. And 6 months down the line, in 2013, it came out as a full-on manuscript, and that's how Acceptance was born. And when after that 6 months, then I realised, this is something I can actually turn into a book. And I started researching how to go about it. And over in the UK, the first thing is to get a traditional publisher to even have your book in front of them, you needed to get an agent. So I started looking for agents, but I was getting rejections left and right because they just didn't understand the book, the first 3 chapters. Because with the agent, you need to send your first 3 chapters and a query letter and a brief bio. But the main feedback was they didn't understand the first 3 chapters. And I felt my writing has my African heritage in it, as well as my British background, because that's just me. I have both. So they just didn't get the first 3 chapters, and I thought you needed to go further in the book to really understand what I was trying to say. So there was a lot of rejections, but I didn't give up. So I started sending it to people women in the community, that were prominent women in the community, and there was sending back really positive review. So that's when I felt a bit comfortable that, I did have something to say. So my main thing was, now what do I do? If I can't get my books in front of the traditional publishers, what do I do next? Then I came across self-publishing, and that's how I self-published Acceptance. Wow. And I haven't looked back since. Not a lot of people make it in self-publishing, but I'd like to just thank God that it was positive for me.
Okay, Ibitola, in the UK you're recognized as an author. I mean, you have the Inside the Author show.
Yes.
In the UK.
Yes.
I mean, that's like encouraging youngsters from Nigeria and other parts of the world who want to go into publishing. Now, the question I'm asking you is, how were you able to get recognition in the UK? Because I know there are several authors in the UK who have been in mainstream writing for a very long time, and they haven't achieved half what you. I mean, you were in Nigeria and you won the Diaspora Writer of the Year from the Nigerian Creative Awards. You've received several national and international acclaim. How is that?
It's hard work. There's no point, for example, if you're a self-publisher, or if you've got a traditional publisher under your belt, there's no point giving your baby. This is your baby. There's no point giving it to them and sitting back and let them do the work. You need to put your all in it. You need to put everything in it. You need to see this as a brand as well as yourself as a brand. And you need to try and work hard as much as possible in marketing. The most important thing is how to market yourself and your brand, and how to put it in front of people. That's what a lot of people are missing. They don't understand the combination of both. That's why there's a lot of authors that have written for many years and they haven't moved past that point. There's also the idea whereby you think you can work alone. You can't do it alone. You need to find other people that believe in that dream of yours and be willing to go along that journey with you. So that's just it. That's why I'm here today.
Okay. Yeah. Now, when it comes to writing books, one is tempted to ask, where do you draw your inspiration from?
Everywhere. I draw my inspiration from everything around me. My mum, when I look at my mum, my dad, my aunties, everybody around me. I try to write my writings in contemporary romance, but with a twist. There's a twist in it because my love for books are in Gothic horror. I'm very into the dark side of things when it comes to horror, Gothic.
For you to have won an award, what was the unique attraction that actually necessitated that award?
Oh God, I think because of my active online, I think when you're in this game, you have to understand what is needed. And I realized, okay, I'm young, I'm in my 30s, but I want to communicate with people older than myself, as well as the younger generation. And you have to understand what to do. We are in the digital age now, and that's the new game now. So when it comes to the younger generation, everything is on social media. So you need to be really active on social media, especially for an author like myself. You have to be active on there. And you have to write something that a younger person can relate to. When they pick up your book, they'll see themselves in the book. As well as when an adult picks up the book, they'll see themselves in the book as well. You need to write for your target market, and you must know who your target market is. Yeah.
Okay, Ibitola, how do you intend to give back to the Nigerian society? I mean, you've been in the UK for years, and you've contributed largely to the UK community. But for Nigeria, what are your plans? What's your vision for Nigerian aspiring writers and authors? Yeah. How do you intend to give back to us?
Since starting on this journey, I've been approached by so many young authors, even older authors, aspiring, established, that just want to know what to do next, how to go about it, how did I do it. And since doing my Nigerian tour last year, there's so many young authors that have come out of the woodworks that I didn't even know they were following me in the first place. And I'm getting so much emails and phone calls to my management. They want to see me. What do I do? This, I've got books I've written, I've published, nothing to do with, I don't know what to do with it. That kind of thing. So I felt, okay, so I've got this large following. This is my background. This is home. I might have not felt that this was home in the beginning, when I felt, because I did spend 5 years here in boarding school in the beginning, and I was sent back to London after my 5 years time in boarding school. So I did understand the culture. I understood where a lot of these young aspiring authors were coming from. So I felt, okay, I needed to give back to them, to be able to give them a form of mentorship, because a lot of them were asking for mentorship. And at first it was a bit scary, because the only people that were looking up to me were my siblings, then now my girls. So to have so many people looking up to you, and I realized I had a responsibility on my hands to actually give back, especially to the community that gave birth to me, that gave birth to my parents, that made me, to be honest, who I am. So that's why I came back. I started the Young and Upcoming seminar, which we just did recently. You were the host, which we just did recently, and which was on Saturday. We had Mrs. Dame Emanuela Fashola there. We had Joke Silva. We had Prince Modest Deco from the Nigerian Writers Award, and we also had Mr. Erubro, who is also the poet from the Poets Initiative. So we were able to run the seminar, we had various aspiring authors, even established authors that's got books at home that have not done anything with it, or it's not gone beyond that point.
Okay.
So that's the end game, to actually create more of these seminars all over Nigeria, to kind of uproot this talent. They're everywhere. Nigerians are very talented, okay, and a lot of people know it. It's just a matter of how to tap into our talent.
Quickly, Ibitola, we have a challenge here in Nigeria, and that's the reading culture.
Yes.
I for one, I love reading, but again, sometimes the economic challenges could weigh you down, and you just look, what am I reading? So, in your years of growing up and as an author, you're a Nigerian, okay? How do you think we can rejiggle the culture of reading? Because these days it's all social media.
Yeah.
Okay, the iPad, the phones, and everything. Reading, get a book and read
cover to cover.
Cover to cover. So,
Personally, now, to be honest, we are in an age where everything's changing. So you have to understand, apart from having hard copies, we have digital. The main important thing is how to get people to read. So to be honest, it doesn't have to be from hard copies of books, because now we've got books on Kindle, we've got electronic versions, and the main thing is trying to get these kids off social media and actually have something positive to do, like reading books. And as a matter of, I think the most important, when it comes to Nigeria as a whole, is finding somebody they can relate to. If you, for example, if you ask most of these young people in Nigeria now, who are the authors you look up to? They've only got, maybe they might have, Wole Soyinka,
Chimamanda,
but which is quite old. They in a way they're not connected with it. But then I have Chimamanda, who's somebody they can look up to and connect with, but they still feel she's so far away. She's so far away over there, cannot actually attain to that height. So they need a lot more up there. Instead of having, when it comes to music, having the badge. There's so many of them. But when it comes to things like this, they haven't. When it comes to, particular things like that, they haven't got a lot up there to look up to, and they need a lot more. So they can also feel that they can actually aspire to be that. I can actually attain to be at that level where Chimamanda is, where Ibitola is, and where she's going. I can go alongside her. That's the way I started. I came across Chimamanda. She was Nigerian like myself, and I felt, wow, I can actually, when I actually published a book, I realized I can actually attain to that because there's somebody there, and I have to work myself to get there.
Thank you very much. We don't have just one more minute. You just need to face the camera and tell those who want to write a book, or your fellow authors out there, to tell us what has been the firing spirit and behind your writing, basically.
The firing spirit has been, to be honest, people giving me positive feedback on what I've written. Okay. So the most important thing is to write what people can connect with. When it comes to aspiring authors, I think when you have an idea, forget about the grammar, forget about the spelling mistakes. Just get everything down on paper now. Get them out on paper, then think about the grammar, every grammatical errors, everything later on. Get the idea down on paper, then start working from there. When it's out, it's like the positive feedback you get from people. For me, it's a drive. It's a drive for me that keeps pushing me forward. And getting all these young people coming to meet me that, what do I do with this, what do I do with that, then actually being able to actually relay what I've learned along the way, relay it back, back to them and help them has been an inspiration for me and keeps driving me forward.
Okay, Wofa, she's actually wow, I hope she doesn't start going behind to start writing. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ibitola, for coming.
I feel so proud, an award-winning Nigerian female author.
Yes.
Wole Soyinka will be proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, it's been a wonderful time with Ibitola, a Nigerian UK-based author, inspirational writer, and a wonderful lady. Thank you. How many kids now?
I've got 3 girls.
Wow, you don't look it.
Thank you.
Okay, yours sincerely, we had an interview with a very top-notch personality of the People's Democratic Party, Chief Olabode George. It wasn't very controversial. Because of the state of conflict within the party,
yes,
we needed to hear his voice because he's a very strategic pillar in the party.
I mean, the place of Olabode George in Nigeria's political scene cannot be overemphasized. There's so much of controversy